What's up, guys, and welcome to my channel. If you're stopping by for the first time, welcome. Please consider subscribing to my channel. On this channel we post new tutorials twice a week where we do pattern drafting. We show you fashion tips and tricks to make sure your sewing game is top notch. See you in my tutorial. This tutorial will be showing you how to transfer your patterns to your muslin fabric or whatever fabric you may choose to work with for this project. The first thing you would want to do is to reduce your darts. This is necessary especially in the front pattern to make sure that you don't have any pointy edges, especially at your bust point. So you would want to measure an inch below and an inch above and connect that 1 inch point back to the original dart leg. So I'm connecting from this 1 inch below the bust point, and I'm connecting it back to my waistline. Here, guys, I noticed the pencil may confuse you, so I went ahead to get my marker pen to make it more visible so that the lines would not confuse you. So I'm just connecting it from the 1 inch I marked below the true bust, and I am connecting it back to the waistline and the shoulder lines, as you can see me do. Now, next thing you see me do is I try to measure the dart lines to make sure that they are equal, but you will quickly notice that on the shoulder line that one of the darts will be shorter than the other one. In order to correct this, you will have to fold in your darts and make sure you use a ruler to connect the shoulder point to the neck point. This is necessary because if you don't do this, you notice that when you are done sewing up your darts, it is going to be short, guys. You would want to make sure you do this before going ahead. So once we are done with this, we already corrected everything that we need to do. So this is me reminding you to add all the necessary allowances, because usually patterns don't come with allowances. So make sure you add your zipper allowance, your 1 inch by the side. On the curves you can get away with 1/4 inch, but if you're still a beginner, you may want to add 1/2 inch just to make sure everything is all prim and proper. So while cutting your pattern, you want to make sure you're cutting on the construction lines. You want to make sure that everything is perfectly aligned, because a perfect pattern is equal to a perfect project. So you want to make sure that all the lines are followed accordingly and all curves are cut perfectly. Take your time in doing this, guys, and make sure you're doing it the right way. There's no need to rush this process, especially if you're a beginner. You must make sure everything is done well. If you don't get it well, your project is not going to look well. Remember that the front pattern will be cut on fold, and don't forget to mark that on your pattern, guys. This is very important, especially if you are a beginner. Make sure you close up the shoulder darts when you are cutting this. This will enable you make sure you got all your lines in perfect order. See how I'm taking my time to do this. I want to make sure you guys get it perfectly well, because if you're able to get this basic bodice pattern done like this, you are good to go. So we're done cutting out this pattern, and I'm just labeling it for the front and the back bodice, and we're going to be transferring it to our muslin fabric. Yay! Remember, this is your choice. The fabric you're going to use is your choice. You can use whatever fabric you deem fit, but this is what I like to work with because it shows my markings for tutorials like this. So you'd want to fold your fabric into two. it has to be cut on fold for the front and the back. The back, you'll be needing 2 pieces, not particularly on fold, but it's better to cut it on fold so that you have 2 separate pieces at once. And then for the front, of course, the middle part has to be cut on fold. Don't forget to add all your allowances, and I am going to show you how you're going to do this. So I'm just trying to cut out the exact fabric that I'll be needing for this project so that the remaining fabric will not be dragging this one down. So you want to place your back pattern first, and then you add all the necessary allowances where needed. So I'm going to add 1 inch to the back of this pattern for my zipper allowance, and I'm going to add another 1 inch to the sides. And like I said before, if you're not a beginner, on the armhole, if you can manage 1/4 of an inch, you can add 1/4 of an inch there, and on the neckline as well. So you do what works for you, but as a beginner, I advise that you, instead of marking 1/4 inch, that you use half, so that you will not have anything to regret. If you're doing this thing for the first time, you might want to play this safe. So that's the zipper allowance, and that's the 1 inch sewing allowance. I didn't bother to add any allowance again for the on the waistline, sorry, because I'm not attaching any peplum to this project. If you're attaching a peplum, or if you're attaching a skirt pattern to this, you would want to add extra 1/2 inch beneath the waistline to enable you attach it to another pattern. So I've added the 1/2 inch on the armhole. This will also enable you to add a sleeve to this pattern. If you're not adding a sleeve to this pattern, if you're just doing it to see how it fits, you may want to skip this step. But because this is a tutorial, I'm going to show you everything that you need to know. So all the allowances have been properly added, and I'm just going to use this straight ruler to connect all the lines together. So this is me showing you that if you don't want to add any allowance to your neckline, you can use the original one, since this is just pattern testing. So in order to get this dart transferred successfully, I like to put in a material beneath my material, if you get what I mean. Because I'm going to be using my tracing wheel, I want to make sure that the material under is, it serves like a kind of cushion to make sure that the tracing wheel does not leave marks on my table. That's one, and it gives it like a deeper penetration. So I do this because it helps me transfer the patterns successfully onto my fabric. You will see this. I will show you how it comes out at the end of the day. So beautiful, guys. If you want to get it right, try this and let me know how it comes out. You will notice that you'll be able to see all the markings clearly if you have like a cushion underneath. Successfully transferred, and we're going to cut out this pattern. Oh guys, I can't wait to put this thing together so that you will see how it comes out. If you're still here, guys, please support me by clicking on the like button, subscribe, share, and of course tell your friends to tell theirs that this tutorial is amazing. Okay, I'm cutting out the back quickly so that we'll move to the front. Don't forget that I'm going to post another video on how this thing is put together. This pattern comes beautifully together, and I'm going to show you what the end product looks like. And we are done with the back, just like that. Now over to the front. This front, you would want to make sure that you are cutting on fold, guys. This has to be on fold, and you're going to put that very edge. Make sure you place it, make sure it's sitting properly, and you will want to attach this carefully to make sure you don't have any excess at that point. This is very important because any little excess that you have in your pattern is going to make whatever the project you're sewing bigger. So you want to pin everything in place, let it look prim and proper, and then we're going to add all the allowances just like we did to the back bodice. So we're adding 1 inch to the sides, and we're now going to add to the curves. We're going to add 1/2 inch to every curve. I'm taking my time because this is supposed to be beginner friendly, so I'm taking my time to show us the ropes in this, guys, so that you don't have any excuse to make bodies that is not fitting properly. You don't have any good excuse. This is me taking my time to make sure I point everything out to you. 1/2 inch on that point all the way to the shoulder line. You would want to follow on the shoulder line. You remember we had to adjust it to fit properly, so you'd want to follow that line to make sure that you have everything done correctly. So just like we did to our back pattern, we're going to do it also to the front. We're adding 1/2 inch on that neckline. So we're going to transfer the darts yet again, and I'm bringing out my cushion, making sure it's sitting properly. I'm using my tracing wheel to transfer the darts properly. Remember, we needed to adjust the darts so that the bust point will not have any pointy points, if there's anything like that. Okay, transfer the darts gently to make sure everything comes out. Remember, the idea behind this is to make sure that it shows on your muslin fabric or whatever fabric that you're working with. I'm just going over it the second time to make sure it's sitting well. So now that we are done transferring the darts, next thing is to cut. We'll be putting this together, guys, and we'll be needing a zipper and a bias tape. So this is me showing you that the tracing wheel made holes on this fabric, so it's easier to follow the holes while sewing, so that we'll work with exactly whatever dart allowance that we'll have already added to the fabric. So we're bearing in mind that we've sewn in all the darts and they are looking so pretty. Don't forget that you're supposed to, whatever you do on one side of the dart, you're supposed to do that on the other side of the dart as well. If you're not sure of the construction lines or the dart length, please take your tape measure and make sure what you have on one side of your dart is exactly what you have on the other side of the dart. Now we're done with the waist darts for the front. We're going to go ahead and move on to the back dart. If your tracing wheel is not that visible on your fabric, please make sure you use a fabric marker to trace out your dart, so that you make sure that whatever it is you took as your dart is exactly what you're taking out. We don't want to have a at the end of the day, a project that does not fit us, guys. If you take out more than you've added, you're going to have a very tight dress or bodice or whatever it is project it is you're working on. Okay, now that we're done on the shoulder line, remember we needed to adjust the pattern. We needed to do this because one of the dart legs was shorter than the other one. If you don't do this adjustment, you would find out that after you are done sewing your darts, one side will be shorter. So because we have already corrected it on our patterns, you will see how it comes out so beautifully, and we're able to achieve it effortlessly. So I'm going to show you how this looks. Please make sure you do this so that you don't lose any fabric. This is it, guys. Everything is equal, beautifully done, and you would not even notice that we adjusted anything on that line. This is me okay, I'm actually showing off right here, guys, so it looks so beautiful. So make sure you do the same thing. If you're still here, guys, please consider subscribing to my channel and tell a friend to tell theirs that this channel is the bomb. Okay, I don't know how you do this, guys, but personally I like to work with my back project as one. So I like to add my zipper first. So remember that we added 1 inch as zipper allowance for the back pattern. Please make sure this is exactly what you are taking off. I'm very particular about taking out exactly what you put in, because if you take out more than you put in, it's going to be very, very tight. So when you measure, don't be scared to measure, don't be ashamed to measure. I measure a lot. So I've done it off camera, and this is what it looks like, guys. I've put in my zip, I've gone ahead to sew the sides. I added 1 inch as my sewing allowance, and that's exactly what I took on this side, and I took it on the other side as well. Like I said, if you're just doing pattern testing for this particular tutorial, don't bother hemming the neckline, but I went ahead and did that anyway. Because we did not sew the darts to the bust point line, you will see that it's giving the bust point some form of ease so that your bust will sit pretty. So you see that ease right there. Yes. Wow, this is looking so pretty. Okay, make sure you test your zip as well to make sure it's not stuck anywhere. If it is stuck somewhere, please adjust it until it's able to move freely. We've come to the end of this tutorial, guys. Thank you for watching it to this point. I can't wait to see you try this out. If you try it out, please tag me on Instagram or Facebook. You can see that this pattern came out beautifully. Oh, beautiful. Oh, this is so cute. See you in my next tutorial. Bye.